Hey, this is Jason Morris from Real Estate Agents That Really Work. And I get a lot of questions asked about pre foreclosures. And this is just a lead source I get asked about from agents all over the country. And I really don't think there's as much competition as most people would think. I mean, most agents are just too lazy to do the extra work to go out there at a lead source like this. The first question I really need to answer is what exactly am I calling a pre foreclosure? In most states, once somebody's behind on payments, usually three payments, the bank will file list pendants. This is basically a notice that foreclosure is coming. And there's several services you can buy regularly updated list to get the information as soon as the notice is filed. I mean, Redx Redx actually provides this service, and they're offering no setup fees and some other package deals to people in the group real estate agents that really work. Just call them, tell them that Jason Morris sent you, and they'll get you signed up. But you can, and this list that you're going to get from them is going to have phone numbers and a lot of data in it. Now, you can get just a basic list from a title company. You can research it at your courthouse. I mean, the actual list of the pre foreclosures is public information. Redx is just giving you contact information for it. But you can go down to the courthouse and get that yourself. But I'd recommend buying that data. Just looking up the numbers and stuff for yourself is too labor intensive. The biggest problem, though, I've had in the past is when I went down to the courthouse or when I got the information, sometimes I would get it so early. I got the information about the foreclosure coming or the pre-foreclosure before the owner was served the foreclosure notice. So I'd call and I'd get them on the phone, and they would have no idea they were going into foreclosure, or they would be in denial about it. They don't believe like, hey, I'm two payments behind or I'm three payments behind. They don't believe they're actually, the bank's going to do something about it. So you have to be very careful with these particular leads, and sometimes you got to follow up for weeks, and you got to follow up basically until they give up. It can be a little bit difficult. Many of them are just in denial at first that they're losing their home, and you have to follow up until reality hits, basically. And you can't call them and use a script that says, "Hey, I saw you were getting foreclosed on. You want to sell?" It just doesn't go over real well. So sometimes you follow up for a few weeks, maybe you send a couple of mail pieces. Once somebody's over 90 days past due, the chances of them getting caught up are very slim. There's a lot of programs still available out there to modify their mortgages and get caught up. If they're upside down, a short sale could be a great option for them. MakeHomeAffordable.gov is still offering programs like HAFA for moving allowances, and a lot of banks that took out bailout money are still having to offer big short sale incentives. There will be that odd person every now and then that just decides they're just going to not pay and they're just going to live there until the bank takes it from them. And I've had people call me just a few days before their home's going to auction, and they want to get it on the market. They want to do something finally. So, and if they contact the bank, there's a good chance they can get it pulled from the auction and get the opportunity to sell it themselves. So technically, the bank, I mean, they don't want their home; they just want their money. The bank is not in the home ownership business. So if their home's about to be auctioned off, typically they can sign a listing agreement, get it on MLS, contact their bank, and they got a good chance of getting it pulled from the auction. Now, if they're calling like, hey, it's going to auction at 12 noon today, and they're calling them at 8 a.m., that isn't going to happen. That house is going to get auctioned off. Now, if they're calling like a few weeks ahead or as soon as they see it go on the auction list, 30 days ahead, um, they've got a good chance of getting it pulled. To list these properties, you're going to have to call and you're going to have to send mail. You need a solid follow up plan for at least 12 to 15 weeks. You have to follow up and just wait for reality to set in for a lot of these homeowners. First call you make to them, you just need to ask a few simple questions. Don't mention the pending foreclosure. It's my experience that if you mention it, the property owner is going to be very defensive and tell you it's a mistake or they've got it all worked out. Just introduce yourself and ask. I was calling to see if you'd be interested in selling your home, or you know anybody in the neighborhood that would be looking to sell. The first call for me is a typical script you'd use for like farming in a neighborhood. Just calling around, seeing who wants to sell, basically. Yeah, sometimes they'll ask you how you get your information or how you got their number. And at this point, I just tell them. I'm almost brutally honest with them. I got your name and address because your home's on the list to be foreclosed on. You just had a list pendants filed. Come here that that the bank has filed with the courthouse that you've missed some payments and they're getting ready to start foreclosure. I just be brutally honest with them if they ask you if you got any information. With any mailers you have, you need a strong call to action. As most of you know, I'm not a big fan of mail, but for these types of leads, sometimes it's the only way to get in contact with the owner because let's face it, they're not paying their bills. If they're not paying their house payment, they're probably not paying their cell phone payment, or they've probably not paid their cell phone payment and they went to some kind of month to month plan they get from Walmart or somewhere, and it's almost impossible to get that phone number. So I mean, this is a great source of what could potentially be motivated sellers that oftentimes have no choice but to sell. Oftentimes pre-foreclosures, they're possibly upside down. In that case, you know, and when I'm talking to them and they're going, "Oh, we got to get 150,000. We got to get 150," but you're looking at the comps and you're looking at MLS and it's only worth like 125. Just ask, "Hey guys, just looking to get out from under this property?" And if they say, yeah, that's what we owe, or give you some indication, that that's what they owe, you just go right into, have you ever heard of a short sale? Have you thought about doing a short sale? Do you know what a short sale is? A lot of us, we live, breathe, and eat real estate, and we know all about short sales. We know all about these different things. But the general public, lots of times this is the first time they've owned a house. If it isn't the first time, it's probably one of the first two or three times. So they just don't know. They don't have the information that we have. So, I mean, many times a short sale is just the best option for these homeowners. They can get a moving allowance, they can get some a little bit of money in their pocket, and they can basically, sometimes they can even get the foreclosure wiped off their credit completely. So, I mean, pre-foreclosures, you got to have a solid plan to work them, solid follow-up plan. It's a great source of business. I've worked in the past myself, just in my market. Foreclosures and pre-foreclosures are not as plentiful as they used to be. So, but yeah, you can subscribe to Redex, and they've got some special deals for our group if you just call them and ask, or you can go down that road of trying to research it yourself. Well, you guys have a great day, and let me know what you think about this video.